Okay, we'll start.
Yeah, good day, dear viewers. It's me, Daria Shviga, and my unchangeable co-host, Alexei Kostylov. And today we have an amazing guest, Anastasiia Soshenko, who is our sociologist and volunteer and three-time World Cup bronze champion and European champion in the sphere of acrobatic rock and roll. So as you can see, we have a lot of things to discuss. So let's start. Anastasiia, very nice to see you. For today, could you please introduce yourself a little bit?
First of all, I would like to say thank you for the invitation. I'm so happy to be here today. My name is Anastasia. I'm a sociology student at Karazi National University. My majority is social, political, and marketing research. Also, I'm a professional athlete for almost 12 years. I won European champion and also World Cup. Just I'm bronze champion. Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, the main idea why we invited Anastasiia here is that Anastasiia has an experience of studying abroad. She has been studying in Canada, and today she will tell us about this experience to, share her ideas, feelings, thoughts, and maybe even empower some of you. So, Anastasiia, how did you decide to study abroad?
Thank you. When the war started, I received an opportunity to study in Canada for an exchange program for one semester, and yeah, I decided that this is really good opportunity for me to have a new knowledge, and yeah.
Okay, so are you afraid of such an experience? So what difficulties maybe you anticipate and face? So was it difficult or not? Easy or not?
Thank you for your question. To be honest, I anticipated difficulties for sure because it's another country, it's another continent. It's of course just it's new culture, and I really anticipated new routine of my life. But to be honest, in real life, I didn't have many difficulties. I think the most important that I study political science in French, and my just level of French it was beginner, I think A2, and yeah, it was difficult, but that's it.
Okay, and in general, were you afraid of such an experience?
Can you repeat, please?
Were you afraid of such an experience? Was it frightening for you? Did you experience any differences,
Daria, I think it
difficulties?
was a technical issue, so I asked this question. So it's about another. So I think we can ask you about our Anastasia and our guest. So how was your usual debut? So maybe tell about this and by the way that Daria fixes her issues.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you for this question. Um, I think just my day was so productively, to be honest, because I study to university at the same time. I had my classes in the morning at a Canadian university, I think until 1 or 2 p.m. And after that, I have time for myself. I spend this time doing sports, relaxing, because I was really too tired. And because of the time difference, I had classes at night. I think just it's almost late at night, and until 4, 5 a.m. And then just I have only 3, 4 hours to sleep. And then just have new classes. Yeah, and it was really just for me, I had lack of time and it was difficult.
Okay, Anastasia, could you please clarify a little bit? Are you talking about classes in Ukrainian university that you had them during the night? Yeah.
Yeah, just I had my classes at Canadian University in the morning because just I lived in Canada, and because of time difference, then just I have time for myself, as I told, and then in the evening, yeah, I have at Karasin University. Yeah.
Oh, and how did you manage to survive? It's super difficult, I can't even imagine that you managed to study simultaneously in two universities. No
Yeah,
idea.
it was really difficult because I just now I don't know just how I managed all this time because as I told that I had a lack of time and I don't have just time for myself, and but it was really just good for me and good for my future.
Okay, and even bearing in mind the lack of time that you had, could you please tell us, did you manage to learn Canadian culture? Could you share anything with us if you managed, please?
It's a really interesting question because Canadian culture is really interesting culture because we know Canada is like for multicultural society, and on the one hand is a welcoming attitude towards people from all over the world, but Canadian society is, as I mentioned, is a mosaic of different languages, of different traditions, and I really want to mention about hockey because it's the national winter sport of Canada, and to be honest, Canadians are passionate about their local hockey team, and they have a lot of teams just in one city. It's okay for them, and yeah, it was really interesting because I have never watched the hockey game, but yeah, I had this opportunity to see.
So was it difficult to maybe switch between two languages, French and English? So, or what maybe language in Canada do you speak mostly, French or English? So what language there?
um Yeah, when I was in Quebec, in Montreal, I almost speak French because it's French province, and my education also was in French. As I mentioned, it was difficult because my French is just not so good to study political science. Yeah, but it was interesting. But then just I moved in British Columbia in Victoria, and it's almost English speaking city, and it was easily for me because just I didn't use French at this time at all because just yeah, when I was in Quebec, it was really difficult.
Yeah, and talking about this experience and almost experience, so what was your biggest lesson from that international, maybe educational experience, we can say? So, what was the biggest lesson?
It's great. Also, a question for me because just I think the biggest lesson was that in this difficult time for Ukrainian, for our country, I had this opportunity to study abroad just for one semester and to deep my knowledge of sociology, of political science, to practice my two languages, yeah, English and France. And it was really interesting because, yeah, I had this opportunity and I'm really thankful for this period of time. And yeah.
Okay, Anastasia, what about recommendations? What recommendations can you give people who want to start learning abroad? Like, probably they're a little bit afraid of such kind of experience. Maybe you have some tips how to reduce the stress.
uh, Tips. It's just really good because sometimes I also just need a lot of tips how to live in another country or just travel. I think just the most important is to learn languages and practice it as much as possible because I know that I'm introvert and I don't like to speak with people. Just really, I just want to be alone, and sometimes it's so difficult because I need to just speak with people to discuss many topics. Of course, just if you study abroad or maybe you plan study, yeah, just you need to practice a lot. You need to watch movies, to read books. Yeah, I think just second tips, it was just also interesting that make friends and build networks, and just I think just networks connect with fellow international students because I think it will be just more easily to have a connect with international students who has the same experience as you, and also just engage with the local community. It's also interesting experience and you can communicate with people in your field of study and has the same experience.
Okay, Anastasia, you mentioned about friends and communities. Did you manage to get acquainted with a lot of people? How did you try to, melt this ice when you got acquainted with different people from different universities, from different countries? Did you have this language barrier or something like that?
Yeah, sure. I have this language barriers every time when I don't have practice for a long time, for example, and then just I move to another country, and yeah, just I think first day or just second days or 2 days it's just so difficult to speak with people because just say oh my god, just I forgot all words in English and French. Just it's really hard, and then just you try to use to speak with people, and it's easily. And yeah, that's why just I mentioned that it's really so important to practice it's as much as possible because it's good for you first of all. Yeah.
So we
Okay.
mentioned about Canadians culture, and usually we ask a question about what do you associate with Ukraine, three words. So in the finalized interview, but maybe can you describe in three or couple of words Canadians and their culture? Maybe what the words you associate with it. So maybe some unique specifics of it and something like this. Also, we know that
uh,
many Ukrainians live in Canada, not by the immigrants and by the diaspora. So maybe it's somehow influenced the Canadian culture.
Yeah, just they have the biggest diaspora in Canada. This is really good because I met a lot of Ukrainian people, but they don't live in Ukraine at all. They born in Canada, but they have this Ukrainian culture. They have traditions, but in three words, just I try just to guess what I need to say. I think this is as I mentioned, yeah, about multicultural. This is really good to describe Canada because they don't have their own nationality, and sometimes it's hard because just they don't have their own culture. They have just a mix of culture, and some people really like it, but not me. And that's why just I really don't want to live there. Yeah, just to travel, it's good, but not to live. And what else? It's I really like in Canada that's landscapes and that this is a really huge country, and you can travel just a lot. And I speak with Canadian people that someone just live all their life in Canada and they just live only on one city because just they don't have time to travel, or just it's so huge territory and just they can't see all cities. Yeah, and the third, I think this is I know they have really interesting culture and interesting traditions. They just spend a lot of time outside. They just have time for yourself because they have a lot of festivals, especially in summer. It's musical musician festival, just all kind of music, and it's really just my advice if you want to visit Canada. I just almost all people go to Canada in the summer because it's really interesting because just they can a lot of opportunity to you how just spend your time in summer.
Okay, and coming back to your previous answer and coming back to our previous questions, you told that you had a huge lack of time. But did you actually have time for traveling? Because you mentioned that Canada is such a beautiful country. Did you manage to see these landscapes?
Yeah, sure. Yes, I visited almost two, no, just two, um, two, just I don't know how it's say, two states. Yeah, and it is almost five cities. Because just I traveled in Quebec. It's just almost Quebec, Montreal, and then just I was in Toronto, and after that I moved in British Columbia. It's another province, and it was Victoria, Vancouver, and that's it. Yeah, just I don't know. I found this time because I really want to spend time for myself and didn't think about my work, about my school, and something like that.
Didn't think about my work. So actually, now we know even more about you. You also managed to work during that process, right?
Yeah, sure. Because just I try to um, just to work because it's really good experience, and I need money to live because as I want to be independent at that time when I lived in Canada. Yeah, because just I want just to deep my knowledge in Canadian culture, and I think that if you work with these people, you can just really understand their culture and their traditions.
Wow, amazing. Anastasia, it sounds like you're an iron lady. You know, you can do whatever you want. You're independent. You travel. You live in Canada. You study in two universities simultaneously. You don't sleep at all. You exercise. You work. You travel. Come on, how could you? How did you manage to do that? I am extremely proud of you. So this experience is extremely motivating. But, but I know one more interesting fact about you, that you are three times World Cup bronze champion and European champion in the sphere of acrobatic rock and roll. And when I combine all that facts together in my mind, I just can't even imagine how powerful you are. So, could you please tell us closer about this part of your life? How did you fall in love with acrobatic rock and roll?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry
uh,
to interrupt, but I think our viewers maybe need to remind what is acrobatic rock and roll because I even don't know about this before our interview.
uh,
So yeah, maybe a couple of words, but I think
yeah.
it will be nice.
Yeah, sure. I think this is just every time when I just told people that I'm a professional athlete in acrobatic rock and roll, they told me, "What is it?" I say, "Okay, this is just really an energetic dance with acrobatic elements, and yeah, you can just dance alone, you can dance with your partner or with your team. This is just a lot of opportunities what you can do." To be honest, about just how I like it, to be honest, yeah, I won't say that it was love at first sight because I started dancing when I was 6, and it was just first my steps was really hard because just you don't know what to do and you're a child. And then I participated in many competitions as Ukrainian competition, then the world competitions, and I see couples from another countries, from another cities in Ukraine, and I was really like it because it was really just new elements when you dance with your partner. You have just a combination of acrobatic elements, and yeah.
So, what was your way to maybe your championship in the sport? So, maybe some interesting, cool stories. How do you become a champion? Uh, Even bronze is a championship. So, what is your way in this sport?
Oh, it's great. To be honest, my way was really difficult. I had two injuries, and then I had to have two surgeries because I have just really serious injuries. But also, in spite of this, sometimes things don't go the way I wanted them to do. Yeah, and it took for me really many years to be recognized in world competitions and to become number one in the world acrobatic rock and roll ranking list. And yeah.
Okay, guys, sorry a little bit for my problems with the internet connection. It sometimes can be hard to manage all the things in a correct way. But yeah, Anastasia, I have one more question to you. What are the things that sport taught you?
One thing that teach me or just okay. Great. I think the most important thing that the sport taught me is never give up. I support that because sometimes then you think that you are done or just you're so tired and you don't have any motivation to do something and you think that this is finished and it's just nothing happen next. But you need to wait a little bit and you need to just continue work hard as you did it, and yeah, everything will be great. And just every time I told this to you just for myself because yeah, I think that just maybe something is finished, but you just wait a little bit and everything is happened and everything is okay.
Wow, super. It sounds like a great motivation. I also wanted to ask you, you told that you had a partner um, when you were practicing that kind of sport, and how was it that teamwork organized? What is better for you? What is easier for you, to work alone or to work together with your partner?
Thank you for this question. To be honest, it was really amazing teamwork because I danced with my partner for almost, yeah, 11, 10, 11 years. Yeah, and we really amazing friends now. But now just we have such different interests and we speak and talk a little bit because of also lack of time, but it's okay now. Yeah, but for me it was really hard to work alone, and when I was with my partner it was really good because just we support each other on the each competitions, and yeah, we were a really great team, I think.
Okay, for almost 11 years, sounds like you were close to start a family together, you know?
Yeah, I also think so because just sometimes I think that people who are married they don't live just for for 11 years, but I just with this person, yeah, for 11 years, and just sometimes it's so just incredible.
Actually, no ideas, no ideas. And what was your feeling when you become a World Cup bronze champion? Could you please describe your feelings? Like, what was that?
Oh, it was for me now just it's amazing memories because every time just when I remember that just I can see that, oh, just it was 7 8 years ago, yeah, just so long time ago, but yeah. And my feelings were really great. I was so happy because when you work hard, as I mentioned, yeah, you really dream about it and you try to do your best just every day. I had my training just 5 6 times a week, and it's okay when you don't have days off at all, when you don't have holidays, when you don't spend a lot of time with your family. Yeah, I try to use to because you understand that you need to work to be the best in the world, yeah, the best in the ranking list, and you need to understand it because this is professional sport. And yeah, that's why just my feelings were really, I was really happy, really, because just it was my dream, and it was dream to my partner and to my coaches, and yeah.
Okay, so I think we can finalize our interview with our traditional question. So I think you already know it because I said it in previous time. So what are three associations that you have with Ukraine? Three words, definitions, and everything that you want. So I think it will be okay.
Great. For me, I think this is just what I say. It seems to be to me that these worlds are very important today, more than never. I think for me, it's just home, rest, and independence. Because yeah, I think this is so important words. For me, just I had an opportunity to live in many countries abroad because just I had an opportunity to study abroad, to had my training life connected with sport abroad. But every time I decided that I want to live in Ukraine only, and for me, just it's home only. Yeah, rest because. If I work a lot at home, also in Ukraine, I every time just feel that I have time to rest because when I abroad, I don't know, just you don't relax at all. Just you try to go for a walk, to just read a book, to do something, but you just not relax as you can do it this at home. And independence, I think this is what just that's I can explain because I think this just all people understand this world now because just it's important for all Ukrainians and for me as well because for our country is the first plan to be just independent as we be now. Yeah.
It's interesting
Anastasia, I
that
know
you.
that you
Yeah.
you will be ready to finish my phrase. So east or west?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
I know that you are in this phrase and you can finish it. East or west?
Of course, home is best. Sure.
Yeah, right. I know that you knew that. Okay, yeah. Thank you, dear viewers, for this evening that you spent this evening together with us. Thank you, dear Anastasia, for sharing your amazing and inspiring experience in all the spheres in your life. I think that we can actually record one more interview together with you because you're still excited. You can still tell us a lot of interesting things. But yeah, thank you for now. We were super happy to invite and to see you today.
Yeah, also thank you because
Um,
you're
I,
a really interesting guest, so I'm surely want another interview on the next time. So yeah, thank you.
I would like, yeah, thank you for invitation. I was really so happy to be here today and just to share my experience. And I hope that someone was really motivated after this interview. Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
bye bye,
thank you as
guys.
well. So see you. Bye bye.